$15 minimum wage hurts the very people it's supposed to help. In this episode, I'm going to explain why Biden's $15 minimum wage is myopic. What does that mean? It's extremely short-sighted, and I'm going to explain why. I'm Doug Andrew, and I've been a financial strategist, a retirement planning specialist for more than 4.5 decades. I've been very blessed in my career to have authored 11 best-selling books. I'm working on my 12th one right now. But I'm very concerned because as I study economics and help people prepare for their retirement and save money so that they do not outlive their money, but also use financial vehicles that make yourself immune from taxes, inflation, and market volatility. But a lot of times, politicians do not understand the negative impact of some of their tax policy. Now, it seems like, raising the minimum wage would be a nice thing to do, right? Well, first of all, if you do a blanket increase of minimum wage across the country, there are so many different costs of living throughout America that you're not helping everybody equally. For example, in New York or San Francisco, the cost of living is through the roof. Do you know a 5-bedroom home in San Francisco, Palo Alto area rents for about $12,000 a month? Whereas a newer, nicer 5-bedroom home in Memphis, Tennessee rents for $2,500 to $3,000 a month. You have a lot of other costs like the food and so forth. And so a $15 minimum wage might be good for people that have higher cost of living in the coastal cities. But you talk about the Midwest and even like Memphis, Tennessee, those people do not need to have the same amount. And so what sounds good on the surface is actually not needed. In fact, it will cause unemployment. And a lot of politicians do not understand this. So let's look at a small business owner in the Midwest. This business owner, let's say, has the ability to pay $100 for every hour for his workers that want just to have some work and their cost of living is very low. And so that boss is able to pay, let's say, $10 an hour as a starting wage for these people. As soon as you raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour, what did you force that employer to do? Come up with more money magically? No, most businesses only operate on about a 3% profit margin. So that means if that employer has to pay $15, he now can only afford 7 employees at the most. In fact, he's going to have to tighten his belt to be able to do that. 7 employees at $15 is $105, and so he has to increase his outlay $5 an hour for his small business. So he has to lay off or let go of 3 employees. So is this helping? No. Now 3 employees have lost their jobs. What else does the employer have to do? In order to meet that higher wage, they have to increase the costs of their goods and services. So all of a sudden, you get a raise to a $15 an hour, but that extra raise ends up going out the window with higher costs for food and gas and everything else, all of the goods and services that are being supplied because you forced the employer to raise prices. So you got more money, but it bought less. And so you're right back where you started from. A lot of times it's so simple with economics, but unfortunately a lot of politicians do not understand the economic impact. You should leave this up to the states, in my opinion, based upon the economies in the various states. Let me share with you a couple of other insights a lot of people don't think about. Now, if this is intriguing you and you can think of somebody who ought to be watching this episode, be sure and share, like, subscribe to the channel. I release an in-depth answer to a financial question almost on a daily basis on this channel. And at the end, I'm going to show you how you can obtain a free copy of my most recent best-selling book. It's called The Laser Fund. Now, when we just do a blanket increase to $15 an hour, The government has estimated by doing that in one stroke of the pen, 1.4 million jobs will be lost in America like that. In fact, just in the anticipation during Joe Biden's candidacy, when he said, I am going to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, many employers across America began to make plans to cut costs, let people go, and switch to automation. Look, people are already preparing because they know they can't afford to do that for a lot of the labor that they need. And so we will see, as a result, a recession. We will see unemployment go up dramatically, a big spike in unemployment. We'll see goods and services go up in a recession. Recessionary time, you'll see goods and services go up, inflation, and this is what happens when we just, with a stroke of a pen, think, oh, look how good I am. I'm going to raise the minimum wage across the board to $15 an hour. You can gently begin to raise people's minimum wage based upon the cost of living in their area. That makes sense. But I'm really concerned about what this is going to do. It's myopic. Now, what does myopic mean? Short-sighted. In other words, a lot of times we pass tax policy or a piece of legislation like a minimum wage going up to $15 an hour, and we think, oh golly, everybody's going to love us for doing this. It's going to help out so much. That's short-sighted. What is the far-sighted vision of that? Recession, inflation, unemployment, 1.4 million jobs down the drain. See, that's what's going to be the long-term effect. But at the end of the day, anytime you just raise the minimum wage, within months or within a year or two at the longest, it didn't do any good because the increase in income was gobbled up with the increase in costs because of the inflation that resulted, because employers are now forced to charge more for their goods and services to be able to afford paying a higher wage. Does that make sense? It's really basic economics. So I get really concerned, and this is about you and your brighter future. If you can help spread the word to help people understand that sometimes when we just want to do something, oh, let's help everybody out and raise the minimum wage, it's really myopic. It's short-sighted. We're only thinking about the immediate effect, not the long-term consequences of an action like that. And frankly, this is what causes so many times the goods and services and inflation to get out of control. We have economic stimulus packages that have been passed. And so I'm concerned because the government is spending money that they do not have. And this is going to cause the inflation and the taxes. It's what I call the tax and inflation power curve. So we need to rethink our thinking. If you want to learn how you can take ownership of your brighter future, how you can do far better, and empower those that you employ if you're an employer, but if you want to learn how to be able to accumulate your money on a safe basis, totally tax-free, I would love for you to study and get a copy of my most recent best-selling book. It's called The Laser Fund. These are flying off of our warehouse shelves. This is my 11th book, and it's 300 pages. It's actually 2 books in one. This one is 200 pages, 14 chapters with all the charts and graphs and explanations on how you can take ownership of your brighter future and do far better with your money than just wanting to get an increase in your salary or income. See, money at work is far more predictable than mankind at work. And this will show you how to have money earning more than you do by age 32. This will show you how to have $1 million generating $80,000 to $100,000 a year of tax-free income if you live to be 120. How to diversify and create the foundation for a tax-free retirement. Now, if you like to learn by stories, you flip the book over to this one. This is 100 pages, 12 chapters, and it has 62 actual client stories on how the Laser Fund helps people just like you take ownership of their future and save far better than in traditional IRAs and 401ks. You'll learn why when you study this. Go to laserfund.com. Click below. You contribute a nominal amount toward the shipping and handling. I'll cover the rest of that cost, and I will pay for the book. There's also options in there if you like to listen and learn, watch and learn. There's even an 18-hour masterclass on how to do this that my two sons and I did. They are co-authors with me on this book. So learn, take ownership of your brighter future, and here is to your financial independence.